Warning. What you're about to experience is a story about the consequences of bad geometry. The details may be frightening, but rest assured that this is a true story. What might be so frightening about not using math correctly, you ask? This. And it could happen to you. It was December 2008. I, like many American males, had been commissioned by my wife to perform a crucial winter task, the hanging of the Christmas lights. So, on this cold and windy Saturday morning, I got out my little giant adjustable ladder and started to get to work. Realizing that the highest point of our house's awning was about 20 feet up, I extended the ladder to its longest setting, but then I realized that I had a problem. I already set the ladder for the highest height. How should I reach the lower parts of the awning? Should I take the time to readjust the ladder, or should I save some time and just lean the ladder against the house at a different angle? Now, being a math teacher, I knew that angles are important, so I thought about what might happen if I leaned the ladder too steeply or not steeply enough. Despite the fact that I knew I was risking the possibility of the ladder not staying against the house, I chose to lean the ladder at a different angle rather than taking the time to adjust the ladder to an appropriate setting. The ladder was probably between 50 and 60 degrees to the ground, and I knew the ladder might slip and not hold against the house, but being a dumb male, I figured that if the ladder started to slip, I'd just jump off and land on the adjacent lawn. So I started to climb. I got about halfway up the ladder, and at this point I'm probably 7 feet up in the air. Next thing I know, crash. I'm lying on top of the ladder in the driveway. I didn't fall off the ladder, I was actually on the ladder the whole time as it slid down the face of the wall. It happened so fast I had no time to react. I didn't black out, and I remember my face coming about a 1/4 inch from smashing into the ladder and driveway as I hit the ground. It could have been much, much worse. If I had hit my head, I might have done permanent damage, and since my house was on an extended driveway away from any public streets, I might have been lying there unconscious for a long time before anybody would have noticed and stopped to help. So, shortly after hitting the pavement, I rolled over onto the adjacent lawn and tried to collect myself. At this point, I had no idea if I had broken anything or what. My whole body was in pain. I eventually picked myself up and stumbled into the house, and then my wife took me to the emergency room. By the time we got there, I knew there was something really wrong with my left elbow. When I walked in the door holding it, the receptionist just looked at me and said, "Putting up Christmas lights?" I nodded sadly. The prognosis? My elbow was shattered. The radial head was broken into several pieces, one of which had rotated 180 degrees and was displaced by about 1.5 inches. I had to have a 3-hour reconstructive surgery, and my elbow still isn't back to 100%, even 3 years later. Conclusion? I could have avoided the whole calamity if I had just paid attention to the angle my ladder made with the ground. But I chose to ignore the mathematics of the situation, and I paid a terrible price. So, my advice to anybody who is watching this: pay attention in math class, or the consequences could be disastrous.